Thanks for jumping on. I'll go ahead and kick things off. Then we'll go to you, Jorge. Kennington's back here in Houston, preparing for Sunday's game. What's the turnaround been like for you guys, and as you guys navigate preparations for Whitecaps?
Very many times, if any, in our league where you have a 3-game week. So obviously, a lot of it has been what we anticipated and what we talked about, obviously, last weekend, which was recovery, information, making sure that the players got everything that they needed. And I think the staff has been excellent about making sure that we're thinking ahead for the players. So as far as the recovery side goes, it's been great. And again, the players' mentality this whole week has been, one day at a time, the next opportunity and what it's going to look like.
Okay, go ahead.
Hey, Coach, how's it going?
Hey, buddy, how are you?
Good. Congrats. You're 2 for 2 so far in this 3-game stretch, like you said. Last home game, you mentioned to me that you want to be the team that nobody wants to face. That seems to be the case as of the second game versus the Rapids. Talk to us about that mentality some more, please.
Yeah, look, as a coach, sometimes you can say things that, on surface level, they sound obvious, but we try and make sure that, we have, if the end point is being one of the hardest teams to play, then everything we do underneath that is what's important. So, obviously the results sometimes this year haven't gone the way that we would have liked them to, but I don't think that it is an indicator of the level that we've been playing. And, again, we're a difficult team when we're focused and we're on, and when we as a staff have prepared the players well enough and then they go out and execute. So, this league is an interesting one. There's quite a few teams that are on a run right now, and it's really tight, kind of in that playoff spot area. But I'm extremely proud that the players, that's the voice that they want. They want to be a team that people look at on the schedule and think that's going to be a tough one. So the majority of that, it comes down to the players' mentality and them building that persona.
Correct. And as well, Papa told us that you guys treat every game like a playoff game. I think versus the Rapids would have been a really, really good example with a major save from Xavier. I don't know, all the goals contributed. I guess continue talking to us about the standings. It is very tight. Obviously, the end goal is to make playoffs in the final and to win a championship this year. Can you kind of compare this year to last year's?
Yeah, look, and I'll take a step back, and you guys have heard me say this before. Our end goal is for the first team to win. Our end goal is for the first team, obviously the Open Cup, and the first team to make the playoffs and the first team to make a run in the playoffs. And we don't know who or how we might impact that on a day-to-day basis. So just like the players have to be ready for their opportunities, we as a staff have to make sure that we're also forecasting into the future of anything that the first team might need, be that this year, be that next year, be that 2 years from now. So, where we are in the standings is where we are. But as a team, as a staff, we also believe that one of the best development tools that you can give to any young player is creating a winning mentality and understanding what it means to win. So to say that we disregard where we are in the standings, to disregard what the playoffs would mean, that's not true. But what it does mean is, I think, if making the playoffs and making a run in the playoffs is the end goal, like I said earlier, it's what you do underneath that to create a team and individual players that want to do everything that it takes to win on the weekend. And I think that it's tricky because there's not a silver bullet. There's not, okay, if you do this, this happens. It truly is a work in progress always to create a winning mentality and create a winning culture. And I think that started last year, but last year's team was significantly different than it is this year. And, you know, if you were to ask me to evaluate maybe where we are as a staff, I think coming into this year, it took us a little bit as a group to identify what really this team needed to start clicking. You know, it's a fun group this year. I think it's 14 goals in the last 5 games, where that might have been that was not necessarily the case at the beginning of the year. And we had the best defensive performance, I think, of the season in Colorado. There's a lot of pieces that are falling into place, but just like I told the players, yes, every game's like a playoff game. And what you can't do is you can't look at the final when you're in the first round. And it's no different than this. Yeah, we have 3 games in a week, but we took Sunday at face value. We talked about that after the game, that they literally had the time that they left the locker room to enjoy that. And then it was preparation physically and mentally for Colorado. We flew to Colorado, exact same message after the game. Fantastic. You have a little bit longer because we fly back tomorrow. So I'll give you till we get off the plane. And through that process, it's physically and mentally refocusing these guys for what's going to be presented tomorrow, which is a very, 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 very good Vancouver team.
And then could we possibly see any first team players come down to Dynamo too?
Yeah, I mean, again, those are all scenarios that every team is kind of working through. You know, when they're at a Leagues Cup, you kind of look at, okay, what players need minutes and how are we going to, you know, how are we going to make sure that, you know, first team guys get what they need, second team guys would get what they need. But it is definitely a possibility.
And then lastly, any update on Brooklyn?
Yeah, Brooklyn, you know, he had a hip injury. Luckily he's moving through protocol for that. And he's in good spirits. Obviously it's a tough injury to have, and it's scary at the time, and it's scary for all of us. But, you know, our medical staff, and to be honest, I have to give credit. Our medical staff and Colorado's medical staff they were so professional and on that it almost took us by surprise. So a lot of credit has to go to them, because at the end of the day, these are young men, and, you know, their health is the most important thing. So I was really happy, and I made sure and expressed that to Colorado and expressed that to our staff, that as a technical staff, we were very impressed with how quickly they were able to resolve that situation.
Thank you, Coach.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Hey, Kenny.
Hey, buddy.
Just a quick one from me. You guys obviously have a lot of young players that you're developing, but Jacob Evans, kind of a veteran. He seems to be involved in a lot of what you guys do. Can you just talk a little bit about what he's meant to this team so far this season?
Yeah, I mean, look, Jacob, how much time do we have left? I could talk about Jacob for forever, you know, and just like a lot of these guys. I think the most important thing that people have to realize about Jacob is, on the field, they're seeing one side of him, and the things that he does in training, the things that he does as a leader of the culture in the team, they are priceless. He's been such an amazing mentor for a lot of these younger guys that are coming through, and it's really something that doesn't get noticed. So when we talk a lot about Zeke and Tate and Sebastian and their age and their experience and what they're getting, that doesn't necessarily mean that it's just those guys, you know. And as a staff, we're not a peer. So it's nice when you have somebody older that can come in, share their experiences, help you through difficult times. But the play on the field, he's been unbelievable. I mean, look at the Colorado game. And again, we're kind of walking around the elephant in the room there. That's first team guys, right? And Jacob played at the level that he has been playing. And that's the standard. I think the beginning of the year, Jacob was a little bit frustrated because we were moving him around. We were playing him on the wing. We're playing him as the false 9. We were playing him as the 10. And He had a couple games where he wasn't to the standard that we had set for him. And he came in and he was frustrated. And, he kind of made the comment, well, why is my standard so high? And why am I not prepared? And I simply told him, look, you're the one that set the standard by the way that you play and by the ability that you have. You have two options. You can either rise to what is expected of you and what we see in you, or we can just leave it alone and you can just be average. And we basically boiled it down to sometimes players don't realize how good they can be. And that might be the most important coaching point that we can ever make to someone, is that there is a level inside you that we see that you haven't hit yet. How do we get you there? And how do you see that? And what he's done since that conversation is be one of the best players on the field every game that we've played. He's one of the best players in the league. He's one of the most impactful guys. And that is all great. But what he does off the field is really what brings a smile to my face, because he doesn't just show up and go about his business. He really cares about this project. He cares about the Dynamo. He cares about being in Houston and playing for this city.
Thanks, Kenny.
Okay, guys, I think we're going to wrap up with that one. Thanks for joining us. We'll have quotes and everything else available later today.
Thank you.